Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Sober Swole podcast. My name is Jake Howard.
And I go by DJ Swirl.
Chocolate and vanilla swirl.
Hello, everybody.
And as always, before we get started, I'd like to give a shout out to Royalty Nutrition. That's royaltynutrition.com. And to help me out with that, as always, here he is. It's Warhorse.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it to slay. If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Royalty Nutrition is a veteran-owned and operated supplement company that doesn't automatically go to use the cheapest ingredients possible while making their supplements for you to use along your path to your fitness goals. Check them out and use the discount code 37HAKE to save you 15% on your entire order. My next shout out of the evening will be to Gorilla Gains. That's Jesus, Jake Howard. That's Gorilla-Gains with the Z.com. They're a fitness apparel company that you can wear comfortably in and out of the gym. They also make great equipment that helps keep you safe while you train. Check them out. Use the discount code Jake15 to save you 50% on your entire order. DJ Swirl, tell them about the Buy to Buy Empire.
Yes, Buy to Buy. We handle fast, friendly, on-demand delivery, moving, staging, TV mounting, and assembly, which means we help everyone from housewives shopping at Home Goods to bros DIYing it at Lowe's. But most often, property managers and real estate agents helping their clients move from their current space to their new place. If you find you don't have the time, towing, or the muscle to handle something you just bought, hit us up at BUYTOBYE.com. You find yourself without, I see, this is what I do. I get it perfect, and then I try to fix something, and I lose what I said in the first place. I nailed this at the meeting today.
You did. I can vouch for that.
Yes. What you see here is Buy to Buy Studios. This is high quality, low stress, remote controlled. Our guest tonight is at his place. Jake is where he is, and I am where I am. And so we do this all where we're at in our friendly confines, and it comes out like this. Hopefully this is something worth your time and your attention, but if not, see you next time. So we do remote streaming. So that's what you see right here. We also do post-production. So if you've already got something and you'd like to add some more value to that, hit us up. And we also do creative consulting. So if you've got an idea, can't put pen to paper, let us know, and we will link up with you and create something special. So Jake, usually I say, Jake, who do we have tonight? Because Jake is usually on board with that. But today we've got a unique circumstance. I just joined a networking group, BNI specifically, and I had the pleasure of sitting next to our guest today randomly. He was a guest of our VP, Nicholas Good, who is also the financial advisor of the group. And we sat next to each other, just started chopping it up and immediately hit it off. And then I stood up and gave my spiel, went over pretty well. He stood up and gave his. I was like, I need to talk to this guy again. And he does meal prep. And so I will let him say everything about his business. So let me do this and let me welcome Brent. Let me not get this wrong. Imbornoni. Did I get it right?
That's it. Yeah,
Yes.
You got it.
Fantastic. Brent, thank you for joining us tonight, sir. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to give you the spotlight just right up front. So just take some time and let the people know what you do and what it is.
Cool. What's up, everybody? My name is Brent Imbornoni. I'm the founder of Brento Box. We're a local meal prep company here in Phoenix. We've been in business at a commercial kitchen for 2 years out in Ahwatukee. We put out a new menu every Tuesday, take orders till 9 a.m. Friday, deliver everything fresh right to your door every Sunday. I think what makes us a little different is we don't just do boring diet food. No one wants to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice day in, day out, 3 times a day. So we like to keep it fresh. We like to keep it interesting. And we like to make food that people enjoy eating and want to eat and look forward to eat. And, so that's what we do. And I've just been enjoying this journey so far as an entrepreneur. We've been at that kitchen for 2 years. I was probably doing it for a year out of my house before that, just kind of getting started, was something I was passionate about, something that I really loved doing. I liked, the fact that it was helping other people. So, I'm kind of young in my entrepreneurial journey. So, at this time, I'm just trying to, build relationships and make connections with people and really kind of get out there and network and, introduce myself and really just meet as many people as I can. So that's when um, I met you today. And like you said, we kind of hit it off, and I could tell we kind of had some of the same vibes. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about me and my business. And I appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely. So you have a new menu every Tuesday. So
Correct.
do you have like a tally? You've done this for how many years now?
Um, like officially in business, we're coming up on 2. It was July of 21 we moved into that kitchen. So since then, so yeah, so back, to the menu, 52 weeks times 2 years, that's 104 menus.
Wow.
It's a lot of menus. Right now on the website in our database, we've got about 119 meals that we've done. We tend to try to throw new ones out maybe a couple times a month. We'll introduce something new to get people excited. But, what we like to do is kind of circle back to the favorites, the ones that people really enjoy, the ones that sell the best. We'll kind of circle those back maybe every 5, 6 weeks, because I've found that no matter how much someone likes something, they don't want to eat it week after week after week, right? So like by putting out a new menu every Tuesday, they're like, "Oh, the turkey noodle bowl's back, man. I love that one. I haven't had that in, 6 weeks. I'm excited to get that back in my rotation."
Nice.
So yeah, we do a new menu every Tuesday, which is typically 4 entrees, which can be lunch or dinner. We do a breakfast option. We do a protein box. We also sell some fresh cold pressed juices from our juice vendor, AZ Liquids. Shout out AZ Liquids.
Yeah, I also saw that you have a shirt, or at least one of the bottles has State 48. Uh,
Yeah.
Very cool. So how did that collaboration happen?
So that was actually a collaboration between AZ Liquids and State 48, but I've actually also collabed myself with State 48. They've been kind of real big in helping me. They have a foundation called the State 48 Foundation, where it's a nonprofit and it helps local entrepreneurs and small businesses right here in the Valley. So I actually did a shirt collaboration with them first, where we did sort of their logo and my logo kind of combined. And I rolled that out, I think at the end of 2021. And that was really cool to work with them, because they're a company that I've followed here in Arizona for a while. They do a lot with like the local sports teams, and I always thought, man, that would be cool one day to work with these guys. And I ended up getting to do it, and it was awesome. And then I found out about the foundation, and last year they held an entrepreneur speaker series, where it was 4 weeks. It was one session a week, and they would just bring in different business owners and entrepreneurs and people kind of just to talk about business and entrepreneurship. And sometimes it was talking about like the early stages. There was a whole day on systems and processes. There was one that was about legal, where they had a lawyer come in and really chat with all of us. So the State 48 Foundation has been huge, and I was able to network and meet a lot of people through that I'm still talking to this day. And they actually, I applied for a grant with them. They were giving away $25,000 in grant money to local entrepreneurs and small businesses. I applied for that at the end of last year. And that was interesting because, I had to send them my whole business plan, and basically
Right.
show them, here's what I'm doing, here's what I've done, here's what I plan to do. So that was a good exercise for me to actually get my business plan out there, put pen to paper to it, and submit it to them. And I was actually awarded a grant for $2,000, which was awesome. That the money was great, and I think we put that towards some new branding and some new merchandise, updated the bags and the cooler bags. But the money aside, it was just cool that they sort of saw me and recognized me, and looked over my business model and saw what I was about, and really were like, okay, like this guy's onto something and believed in me enough that they would, I think there was 8 grant winners chosen out of like, I think 50 applicants. So it just meant a lot to me to be recognized in that way. So yeah, State 48 has been, those guys are awesome, and I appreciate the heck out of them.
Fantastic. The I saw, as someone in the same space to where you're small startup just trying to figure out your way through things. Um, the Shamrock Farms connection. How did that come
Hmm.
about, and how did that change your trajectory?
So, I started out of my house basically just doing this as a side hustle. I was working a 9 to 5. I was doing this on the weekends just because I love doing it. And so at that time, when I was out of my house, I would just go to, Costco and Safeway and like, get whatever I needed. And then that continued once we moved into the commercial kitchen, just because, that was the way I was used to doing things. Except then I was going to like Restaurant Depot and Shamrock Food Service Warehouse. But, as I grew, when I first moved into that commercial kitchen, we were doing maybe 200 meals a week. And right now we're doing like 800 meals a week. So as things grow and as you progress and the volume just continues to increase, everything else increases with it. And one of those things that increased was the amount of product we needed.
Sure.
So I was going to Restaurant Depot and the Shamrock Warehouse, and literally, I drive a sedan, right? So I was filling my car,
Mhm.
packing, putting stuff in cooler bags. Just, I couldn't see out the back. The thing was just stuffed, and then I'd have to go drop off and then go to Costco. So it was like,
Mm,
it wasn't the most efficient way to do things. But I didn't really know any better at the time. So linking up with Shamrock Foods was great because now we get a weekly delivery on Friday, and our menu's always changing. So the product we need is always changing. But luckily, we have access to their entire, I think it's like a 1 million square foot warehouse. They have just anything you could imagine, they have it, and they have it in bulk. We need big quantities of things. So
sure.
now we can go on, place an order, get a delivery Friday, and that takes out about 90% of what we need for a weekend. So, and we're also saving money because we're getting some better deals. And it's saving me time, which is saving money. So, linking up with them was big. And I like that Shamrock is like a local company. They started with the Shamrock Farms, doing the milk, and then they branched out into Shamrock Foods to now where they're like a food supplier for restaurants and that sort of thing. And they're big now. They're expanding to, I think they're in Southern Cali and I think Nevada and, maybe Texas. So linking up with them has been really cool. And I really, I've got a rep that I really like. So that's been a game changer for my business for sure.
Very cool. Have you had any issues with the name?
With the name Brento Box,
Yes.
um, you know, I love, so the story with the name is kind of like, so back I used to serve tables at Raw Sushi way back in the day, and I think it was one of the bussers that started calling me Brento Box as like a joke, because we sold bento boxes right at Raw
Right.
Sushi for lunch. So one of the bussers was like, "Hey Ben, Brento Box," and they'd call me that as a joke, and I thought it was funny, whatever. And then, fast forward 10 years later, I'm thinking about starting a meal prep company, and I'm like, what should I name it? And then, Brento Box crept back into my mind, and I'm like, well, that's kind of perfect. Um, so that's where the story of the name came from. As far as issues with it, it's tough for SEO, just because when you type
Oof.
it into Google thinks that you're mistyping bento box. So every time, it's like, oh, you meant bento box. Here's a bunch of bento boxes. So it's tough in that regard. And it's also tough sometimes because people will like see it and they don't even see the R and they're
Yeah.
just like, oh, bento box. What is that? But for the most part, people get it and they understand it, and then they find out my name's Brent and they're like, "Oh, that's clever. It's a play on words. I get it." And I'm like, "That's it. You got it." Uh,
It's funny to hear
so
you say that because I have my business name is Buy to Buy, and
yeah,
to this day, If you put that in, the first thing that populates is in sync buy to buy or buy the video. I can't get around it. It has like a billion views at this point. It's always going to show up first. So
You just need to get bigger, man.
yeah, it's something else, man. It's craziness. I learned today that there is a bento box emoji. I had no clue. Wouldn't have known.
Oh yeah,
Wouldn't have
yeah,
checked
there
otherwise.
definitely is.
There's not a DJ emoji. I'm bitter about it. There's no vinyl. There's no like turntable. There wasn't even a legitimate like salute emoji until like 6 months ago, and I was on like a dumb social media tiff trying to get them to change that, and they did. I'm pretty sure it had nothing to do with me, but bento box, there's an emoji for that now. So,
Yes,
uh,
sir.
yeah, craziness. So in terms of meal prep, HelloFresh, I've had an experience with
Right.
that. And
Mhm.
have you done meals sent to your home that you have to cook yourself?
We have actually. So, I sort of went through like a personal transformation where I went through a couple rough years of my life. Ended up gaining a bunch of weight. I was binge eating. I was drinking too much, and I was pretty unhealthy. And eventually, getting myself healthy again, it all started with the food choices. So I started kind of learning to cook healthy food, and found that I really had a passion for cooking. And one of those things me and my wife did at that time was we tried some HelloFresh boxes. Um, and I liked them, and I thought it was cool that I was kind of like, using them a little bit to like learn some cooking techniques and stuff. My only problem with them was like honestly like just the amount of time it took to actually do it. Like I would go to work for 8 hours, go to the gym, come home, after like a 10-hour day, you know, I'd be in the kitchen cooking for, and they'd say, oh, this takes 30 minutes or 20 minutes. And, it takes an hour. Like, let's be real. Those times on there are so
It's a
false.
joke.
Like,
It's a joke.
you know, maybe if you got a, pro chef in there, just like, whipping it together, it could
Doing
take,
work.
but anyway, so, it would take an hour, and then we would have like, two little meatloafs and some green beans. And I'd be like, all right, well that, tastes good, but, you know, I'm tired. That just wasted an hour, and now my whole kitchen is
It's a
just a
mess.
mess,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
gotta clean this thing now. It's like, so it was cool for a minute, but like the amount of work it took, man, I value convenience, and I value my time, and that's why I think meal prep is a better solution for those, for people like that are just busy and don't want to have to do all the cooking and cleaning.
No doubt. How far? What is your delivery
What
radius?
We're pretty, we're, I don't know. I would guess it's maybe like a 50-mile radius,
Oh
but
wow.
I mean, we go way out west, we go way out east, we go up north. Like I've got six delivery drivers on every Sunday. And each one of those drivers kind of, for the most part, has like a different area of the valleys. So like one of them will handle east side, one of them will handle west side. One of them does Scottsdale. We have a couple that do like Central Phoenix, Arcadia, Biltmore, North Central. So we go all over the place, and we're just kind of continuing to expand our delivery zone to serve as many people as we can. I mean, and now that we have this many drivers, I actually kind of needed a seventh the other day because we just had so many deliveries. But we go pretty far, and I urge people that if they try to go place an order and it says that they're outside of our delivery zone, just shoot me a DM or shoot me a text, and most likely, unless you're in Tucson or something, we should be able to figure something out.
I was
Jake.
gonna say, you made it out to Queen Creek yet?
Dude, actually, I think we have actually. Yeah,
There it is.
we've been to Queen Creek. We're out in Tolleson. Tolleson is the farthest west we've gone, but yeah, we're out there.
Very nice.
So I was gonna ask you before my 2-year-old had a full blown meltdown. Um, it's the most wonderful age. But do you do like custom macro friendly stuff, or is this shut up and take it? Like one size fits all?
Um, so all the macros are listed on the website and on the package itself. We typically we aim to do like high protein, moderate carbs, little bit lower to moderate fats. We do sort of a one size fits all sort of approach to where our meals, can be great for, a 110-pound female or myself, a 185-pound male. I mean, it's really hard to find that sweet spot that is, a good portion size for everyone. But we think we've gotten pretty close to doing that. And it always, it just depends on the person and how they like, how much they like to eat at one sitting, or if it's a bigger guy and he's trying to gain muscle, then maybe he's eating every 2-3 hours anyways, so maybe, and our meals are usually just under 500 calories, like around 475, usually around 40 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbs, maybe around 10 to 15 grams of fat. So I feel like our meals can easily be implemented into, a program if you're on a program, or if you're watching your macros or your calories. I feel like our numbers are pretty user friendly to where if you want to use them to be in a surplus, you can. If you want to use them to be in a deficit, you can. So we kind of do a one size fits all approach, and so far it's been working for us. I think the only thing that we might add on later on down the road is just bulk protein options, right? So like you
Okay.
could get your meals and then you can maybe also add a pound of chicken or add a pound of beef, if you're really trying to have a high protein diet. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say because because I always used to cook my own food for myself when I was bodybuilding for real. But when I was doing, I used to sell supplements around Texas. So I used to just have, I can't remember the name of the company, but I used to just have them drop like 4 pounds of already cooked ground turkey and 3 pounds of rice and 3 pounds of green beans at the hotel or whatever we were staying at, and then portion my meals out that way. But
What was it, Icon Meals? I think they're out of Texas.
that sounds real. Yeah, probably them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used a meal prep service in a long time, but I think that no, I think you definitely have value that is needed to be taken advantage of by people in their busy world today. A lot of people have excuses about not wanting to eat healthy or take charge of their lives, and they'd rather just have a bag of chips and a cigarette and call it lunch and then get back to their office and sit down. You know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do use them for lunches throughout the day. I thought, getting into, the meal prep space that our main clientele would be, the gym rats, the bodybuilders, the CrossFitters, power, people that are big, into fitness like that. And it turns out, I mean, while that's still, part of our main demographic, I'd say the overwhelming majority of people that order our meals are working professionals, just people that want the convenience of it. They want to eat something healthy. They don't want to meal prep themselves. It's moms, it's dads, it's teachers, it's just people that don't have the time or energy to meal prep themselves. But and I think that's sort of why we kind of serve what we serve. We make food that the everyday person is like, okay, like I'm familiar with that, like I'll eat that. Whereas like a bodybuilder might be fine with just the chicken, asparagus, and rice, no salt, no oil, no nothing, just straight food is fuel type of thing. We sort of cater more to the everyday person because I think that's the overwhelming majority of like who we serve. And I think that's just a product of, I think, meal prep sort of just becoming more mainstream. I think more and more people are starting to eat healthier and really sort of watch what they eat. And I think meal prep is becoming more mainstream because people are finding out like, hey, I could just, order 5 meals, 10 meals, and I'll just have my lunches ready to go. And this food actually tastes really good and it reheats really well. And, it's just taking something big off of their plate that they don't have to worry about. So anyways, I think I just went on a tangent there, but
No, you're good. No, you're good. I will
That's all
say,
right.
I know you joined our chapter today as a visitor. But
hmm
there's a running joke that we are like the easy group because my slogan is simple made easy. I think yours is meal prep made easy. I know there's another person who has something else, and so it's like you got to see us go through the line of our little commercials or whatever, and we say our slogan at the end, and it's if you join our chapter, again, no pressure. This is not a recruitment of any kind. This is just like it's the easy camp because there's too many of us in there now. So just know that that's the
no,
case.
that's funny. I did. Well, you know what? Easy is a great word because you know what? Everyone wants convenience and everyone's willing to pay
Yep.
for convenience. So the easier you can make something for someone,
Yep.
the more likely they are to do business with you and continue to do business with you. So easy's not a bad thing. We want to make things as easy as possible for people.
Yeah. So the meal prep when you made that jump, and you graduated, I guess, to a kitchen. What was there like a quote? What did you have a minimum that you had to make in order to occupy that space?
Um, so not really. So there's quite a few, well, not quite a few, maybe 4 to 5 of these like shared commercial kitchen spaces out here in the valley. And basically, what you do is if you're like a small food business startup and you just need a commercial kitchen for somewhere to operate, somewhere to make your product, whatever it is. Because a product like mine, you're not allowed to really make it from your house and sell it, right? There's food cottage laws here that dictate what you can and can't sell out of your house. So like if I was making granola or jams and jellies or I was selling cookies, like there's certain things like that that are like considered low risk that you can make and sell out of your house. But meal prep with, high risk foods like, beef and chicken and turkey, you're not allowed to do that out of your house. But, when I first started, it was just, it was a little side hustle, friends and family type thing. And, everybody starts somewhere. So I started, at the house, but, and then it got to a point where it got bigger and bigger. And then I'm still out of my house. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to either do this legitimately and get the licensing, get the permits, get the insurance, get the food manager certification, like do all these things to actually make it into a legitimate business, or I could just stop doing it. But I loved it so much, and I wasn't, I was working a 9 to 5 that I didn't really enjoy, but it was paying the bills. So I said, I want to pursue this. I want to go all in with this. Like I want to see where I can take it, and to do that, I'm going to need a kitchen. So there's different shared commercial kitchens where you can basically come in and rent time. So, you can say you need 40 hours a month or 50 hours a month, 60 hours a month, whatever you need. You can sort of, rent time and space in that kitchen, to where then you can get the permits and the insurance and the certifications, and sort of do it by the book. And so that's what we were doing. We were just renting. I mean, it's still what we're doing now, but I guess the only difference now is that we sort of have exclusivity of when we're in that kitchen. It's just us in that kitchen. I think, before it was kind of a shared space. So you were in there with other tenants, other small food businesses kind of sharing, the workstations and the cook line and whatever. We're just too big for that. We're to a point where there's 4 or 5 of us in there at a time. When we're plating, 200 meals, we need every little inch of that workspace, so we kind of signed a different deal to where we have exclusivity on Fridays and Saturdays. But for someone that's just looking to get started, there's shared commercial kitchens or commissaries where you can just go and rent time as needed.
Very cool. I've actually got an idea for something that I discussed, I think, for the first time last week. But you said jellies and jams. There's no situation that pans well for
I
what I'm
mean,
trying
I,
to do.
I mean, I,
So
I think you still need a permit, but I think there's a cottage law food permit to where you could get it. And then the health department might need to come, look at your kitchen and your equipment and make sure it's not, just some nasty, whatever. But
Right.
you can do that out of your house. Yeah, cookies, jams, granolas, whatever. You've got an idea for a jelly business or what?
I'll talk to you after this.
All
There
right.
might be some paperwork needs to be signed. No, I've got an idea to do something small with my daughters, and I haven't hit any roadblocks yet. I keep poking holes, and everything keeps coming back positive. So I might pursue it. I don't know, but just hearing this and hearing how food kitchens work, and knowing that at some point, if I want to try and make it into a business, that's where I'll have to be. So it's good to hear
Yeah,
because I have no idea. I didn't know time. I had no clue on how that works. So thank you for sharing. Appreciate that.
for sure. Yeah. If you have any questions on anything, let me know. I'm happy to help where I can.
Fantastic.
So I think we kind of skirted around it. I don't because I don't want to interrupt business talk.
Yeah, go for it.
But I read your story about what led up to you gaining a bunch of weight, and then what led to you training in the gym and losing weight.
Hmm.
So what what exactly happened?
Uh, so basically, this is back in 2013. It was sort of a bar fight situation. A friend of mine got into an altercation with another guy. They went to sort of square off the fight. That guy pulled out a knife. My buddy went to back up, slipped on spilled beer, ended up on the ground. The guy's on top of him, stabbing my friend. And in a split second decision, I stepped in to help and pulled the guy off in a chokehold. um, so then I'm on the ground and I have him sort of on top of me in a chokehold. I didn't know what I was trying to do, put him to sleep or what. I just knew I had to get him off my friend.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just did what I did. And so then, so I got him like this, and now he's on top of me and he's going like this, and
Ooh.
he's trying to stab me. So he ends up getting me in the eye right here. Um, so yeah, so I took a knife to the eye, and we both went to the hospital. Me and my buddy, um, we both survived, which is the most important thing. My buddy's got two kids now, and so it definitely could have been a lot worse for everyone involved. But so that led to some years of depression, and anxiety, and binge eating, and drinking too much. Just because at that time after it happened, it looks a lot better now. It's still not perfect, like you can see the scar, but um, after it happened, my eye was pointed out 45 degrees.
Sure.
So it was like, and at that time I was serving tables at Raw Sushi, but like my eye was like so messed up looking because it was pointed off in this direction. And the scar was all, ragged and just looked awful. It made me just not want to talk to anyone or be around anyone. Left me, with just crippling social anxiety, so I quit serving tables because I didn't want to have to go up to groups of people and like talk to them and look at them, in the eyes, because that's where you look when you talk to someone. And that's where I felt like I didn't want to be seen. But it's like when you talk
Right.
to people, that's where they're going to look.
Hmm.
So, it just left me in a bad spot where, and then I was going through a couple of years where I just had surgery after surgery after surgery. They were trying to fix the cornea, and they worked on the retina and back, but the retina was like a deflated umbrella, and they were trying to like put it back into place, and it wasn't sticking. And then they worked on the eye muscles. It was called a strabismus surgery, to where they were able to tweak the eye muscles to get it kind of straight again. Which I'm really thankful that that's stuck. And then the last few surgeries were just kind of like plastic surgery, because the lid was real droopy, so they were trying to like fix that and clean up the scar a little bit. So it was just a few years of just going down a dark path. And I wasn't happy. I was miserable. I didn't want to talk to anyone or see anyone or do anything. um and that led to the weight gain, thanks to the binge eating and abusing alcohol, just because I just wanted to numb the pain and just be in a hole and just go hide from the world. So um that's the story of what happened and why I gained a bunch of weight. And then luckily, you know, I eventually saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and I think my wife is a big piece in why I was able to kind of bounce back. You know, having her come into my life, I kind of just thought like, okay, well, maybe I should, you know, start to care about myself again and start to, you know, get healthy and really, you know, start doing the right things. Um, and the change all started, like I said, with the healthy cooking, you know, learning how to cook and eating healthy. And, you know, before I even hit the gym, we just started cleaning up the diet and cooking food and eating healthy. And, you know, in that first month, I lost like 20 pounds, and I was just like, man, this is amazing. This is all just because I was eating better, you know. So it was life changing for me, you know. And then I'm meal prepping, right? And I'm, you know, making all my meals for the week, and I'm finding that, you know, I just love cooking and meal prepping, and it just sort of, it was life changing, and it just sort of spiraled. And you know, and then it led into me getting into fitness and lifting, and then that was like a healthy outlet, you know. So that's a little backstory on, you know, how things sort of came about. But yeah, it came from you know, being in a bad spot, and then, you know, getting up off the mat after being knocked down, and I guess just in the end, sort of making the best out of a bad situation.
That's amazing, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I know we titled this episode "The Side Effects of Proactivity," and you were sticking up for your dude, and turned into what it became. And um, part of the reason why I stopped drinking, not because I had a problem, was because I was a DJ for 20 years, and so I've seen so many bar fights. But I was always drinking to make myself feel like I was in the same mood as everybody else. So it was like the when I retired in at the end of 2018, it was like the consumption of alcohol dropped off, and so did all the weight. So it was just like that thing that I knew that I needed to do, I didn't do. And I, you know, it wasn't any serious trauma or anything like that. But again, I'm customer facing, so I'm standing on my feet for 4 hours at a time, entertaining people. That's a lot harder to do when you're carrying 15, 20 pounds extra weight in Arizona summers, DJing on a rooftop. Like, it's all bad. It turns
Yeah.
into all kinds of stuff. And I know Jake is having a current situation right now. You do you have any children?
Do I?
Yes.
I do not. No.
So I have a 7 and 4 year old daughters, and Jake has
14, a 12, a 9, a 3, a 2, and 6 months. 5 months.
God damn, you've been busy.
yeah. So in a
But good
previous
for you, man. That's amazing, bro. Good for you,
Yeah.
man.
Well, I married a woman that came with three already, and
Okay.
then surprise.
but he's struggling currently as a father because he has been very proactive in his child's life, and they are, how would you put it, Jake?
Oh, about to do eighth grade again.
So as proactive as you are in your life, as someone who is in active recovery, you understand the want that needs to be present in order for you to make that change. So
Well, it's not just that. So in December, I'll be 8 years sober. When I was competing, my whole mindset was geared towards doing everything that needed to be done to meet that goal, right? So it was
sure.
sleeping on time, eating on time, training on time, cardio on time, posing on time. Pop, 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 pop. This is what I have to do to make this happen. And the problem, I think, that happens a lot with the 14-year-old and I, especially when it comes to school, is she is very intelligent, but just refuses to do what she needs to do. And I was the same way, except for I always skated by. I think I went to summer school once. Now it's just because I was like, I've never been to summer school. I think I'll fail enough to go to summer school. Because that was just who I was as a kid. But so she is at a excellent private school to where if you give a shit enough about it, like you graduate not just high school but with an associate's degree.
Nice.
There are tutors readily available at the school. A private tutor was hired for her at home. We constantly and consistently were like, have you emailed your teachers? Have you done your work? Have you blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't until like the last quarter of the year she was like, oh, maybe I should try. And lo and behold, it didn't work out.
Right.
So
Fun times. Fun times. Well,
I love it.
none of my proactivity. This is a byproduct of my proactivity. Is this meeting right here? Is us being able to do this? But yesterday there was another group event for another BNI chapter that I attempted to join or visit, with the purpose of bringing a visitor who their chapter is missing the specialty, and I don't want to say I got the cold shoulder, but I was left feeling like I did, and so I'm not sure how many chapters you visited before, or how many chapters it is now that you have visited. But I visited three, and this was one
Hmm.
of the chapters I meant to visit, but they have a very early meeting time that conflicts with my kids' school schedule, so I couldn't make it. And then I got this. This was experience, so it was just like I went into the meeting today bummed and wanting to talk about accountability and how being in a networking group, communication is a big deal. Because I was literally at the event, sitting in the parking lot for half an hour, waiting on a response from the event coordinator. Nothing. And it was just like, okay. And so that kind of puts a, that can make people not just discouraged, but it can put them in the wrong direction when I had no intention but to try and network, increase business, if not for myself, for anybody else in the group, because our chapter is missing specialties that they have. So
Hmm.
proactivity, it's a spectrum, right? It'll work for you and against you, because some people will take it as a blessing and other people will take it as you doing way too much. And I guess that's what I did. Was I did too much and it
So
bit me.
what
So
other chapter was it?
it
Or
was
do you not want to say?
I'll not say, simply because I put this
Mm.
on the BNI prosperity group, and so I'm not sure. Based off their code of ethics, I don't know if I should have
Yeah.
a personal conversation with her first, or with them first, or whatever. All I know is that it left me with a really bad taste in my mouth, and it just felt unprofessional. So,
That's
again,
interesting. So if you're a member of BNI Prosperity, are you not allowed or supposed to go visit other chapters? Like, are you supposed to just like
they
stay
encourage
in
you
your
to.
lane?
They
They encourage
encourage
you
you
to.
to.
Okay.
So that's
Huh.
why I was so baffled, is because I tried to do it as just like a good faith. This is a chapter that I didn't get to experience, and it was at Top Golf. So there was supposed to be
Mm.
food, drinks, and fun. And I was like, what a good opportunity to not only experience their chapter, but to bring my buddy, who is another skilled professional, who could potentially bring more business to their chapter. And it was just like, sorry. So
So that's so weird. So they were there, but she wasn't responding, so they didn't want you to like come join and
so it felt like I was an uninvited person trying to take advantage of the circumstance. That's what I was left feeling. And
man,
I get
that's
that. I get that. I get how it could feel that way, but the person who
I
was
mean,
the
it
event
sounds like you had
coordinator,
good
yeah,
intentions going
nothing,
into it. I mean,
nothing but good
was
intentions.
there anything that said like that event is exclusively for that chapter's members only?
It said it is exclusive to non BNI potential members, which is exactly what my friend is, which is what you
Mhm.
are at this point, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Hmm.
like I didn't get to visit them because I couldn't, because it was too early. So I wanted to go, and I wanted to be there because I didn't want to say, "Hey, go check out this networking event." Cold turkey, like that seems weird. So at the very least, I'm a wingman. So if he feels uncomfortable or whatever, it's a warm hello. It's a warm welcome.
Hmm.
That was my
Yeah.
intention, and I know how to swing a golf
Yeah.
club. So if we got to that
That's
point,
that's
cool.
That's weird, man. And that's a good thing that you did by, trying to help your guy out and go with them because, it is um, I don't maybe not scary, but it is kind of awkward going
It's
into a
intimidating,
situation
no
like
doubt.
that by yourself where you don't know anyone. The first one I went to, so I've been to today was my third chapter I visited. The first one I went to was up in North Scottsdale. I was invited by a guy that I met at a charity golf tournament that I did. He's like, hey, come check out my networking group. We love to have visitors. So when I first pulled up to that one in North Scottsdale, I was at like a La Quinta Inns and Suites, and I'm like sitting there in my car, like, do I just like walk into this hotel, like what, and say I'm here for BNI, like what?
Yep.
So I texted him, I'm like, hey, I'm here. Do I just come in? And he's like, yeah, bro, come on in. So like, it was nice for me to have someone there that like at least invited me, that like I kind of knew. I mean, I just met him, but like I still like, had someone I knew that was like bringing me in, sort of thing.
Right.
And then the other one I went to last week in Biltmore, no one invited me. I didn't know anyone. I just kind of showed up, and I saw some people near the door with name tags on. I'm like, all right, this must be the place. But,
Yep.
it's definitely a little intimidating, a little awkward at first, just rolling into a group like that where you don't know anyone. But, at the same time, like, everyone's there for the same reason. Everyone's there to network and
Yeah.
help their business grow and meet people and get referrals. So, I think the more times that you do it, maybe the easier it becomes. I don't know, but I mean, that was good looking out on your part by trying to help your dude out and bring him into a situation that could help him in his business. But it sounds like it didn't go that way. But don't let that stop you from trying to do it again. Because you were trying to do a good thing. So
Appreciate that.
I would say just maybe try again. Try with a different chapter. Try somewhere else.
Yep. Because I did like I did some research. Because I was like, okay, I want to make sure that the chapter is busy, it's active, right? Because one
Hmm.
chapter I think has 96 members and another one has like 13. And you look at
Yeah.
the amount they're passing around one another. One of them is $10 million and the other one is $200,000. So it's like, there are reasons why you want to get involved with something. And again, their principle is the VCP is what the acronym I learned is visibility, credibility, profitability. And so, in order for a small business to be visible, you have to be in multiple spaces. So it makes sense to visit other chapters, especially ones that don't have your specialty. And I only went to specialties or to chapters that didn't have movers because I didn't want to be a conflict of interest.
Hmm.
That wasn't enough. So
Yeah, that's interesting. The guy I met, Mike, was like, man, he's like, none of the chapters have a meal prep guy. Like, you got to, he's like, you ought to go hit all of them. So
yeah,
I'm thinking I'm probably going to go maybe visit 3 or 4 more different ones, just to see which one feels like the best fit for me. And I think each time, like, you get to like, sit down and meet 20, 30. The one in Biltmore is like 60 people. Like, that was
yeah,
crazy. That
that's a
was
lot,
like,
Pete.
that was a full room, man. It's like, and I'm thinking about which one do I want to join. Like your chapter had about like what, 20, 22 people or something.
Yeah, I think that's it right now.
And, that type of environment felt a little more, intimate, and like you could really, sort of talk with people, and it didn't just feel like a giant room.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it's like, if all of these people are going to be actively trying to get me more business, do I want a room of 20 people doing that, or do I want a room of 60 people doing that?
right.
So it's tough. But what made you end up going with the BNI Prosperity after the ones you visited?
So I was invited to visit the chapter by Matt Gilstrap, who operates Footprints Flooring for the group. He's the flooring person, and so he invited me, and he did this maybe like 8 months ago or so, and I was in a different spot. Wasn't and the reason why he brought me on was to be a potential asset, and I didn't want to present myself when I wasn't at my best. So I got my situation straightened out, and he happened to we hadn't worked for a while together, and then he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, come do the chapter." And I go, "Timing's right." So I went to the chapter. It was a great conversation, and he said, "We're not meeting next week, so use that week to join or to visit other chapters to get an idea of what you see." Much like you are. So I said, "Cool." I visited 3 other chapters. Membership, one had 48, the other had 29, and then no, the third one I was gonna visit was the one I didn't, and I think it has almost 50. And so, like you said, the bigger the size, the more competitive the space feels, even though it's supposed to be non-competitive. Um,
Hmm.
and naturally, in any kind of setting like this, there's going to be cliques that form. And so, being someone who didn't know anyone else at the other chapters, I didn't want to come in and be a problem. And so, I thought that Prosperity had a great vibe. Already knew Matt. I've already done business for two other people in the chapter, didn't know it. And I've already gotten, and before I even officially joined, I had two jobs ready. Like they were like, oh, I could use you for this. Oh, I could use you for this. I'm like, well, it's exactly why I'm here. And everything I read in their literature says 3 to 6 months before you should start seeing a return.
And you were seeing it instantly.
My next job will cover my yearly dues. So it's
Yeah.
like I joined on the 1st and it's the 24th. So that's for me. That's my experience
Hmm.
going into somewhere where there's not a specialty to where I can hit different people in different specialties the same way you can. So that's why I settled on Prosperity. I really wanted to honor the invite. And then when I didn't get that same reception at other places without knowing people, I was like, so it's who you know. So I know Matt, I know Kevin. I've done work for Peter now. Nick seems like good people. How did you? That was the question I meant to ask you. How did you and Nick come to know each other?
That is a good question. He started ordering meals from me. Um, Man, it was a while ago. I want to say, um, it had to have been 2021, maybe early 2022. But he started ordering consistently for me. I think this was like before, it might have been before the website went up. The website went up at the end of 2021. And before that, man, I used to like, take orders through text and DM and Venmo. And I remember Nick Venmoing me. So it had to have been like mid to late 2021. He was ordering from me like consistently. And that was so far back too that I was doing my own deliveries at that time. So
Nice.
I remember driving up to Nick's place and he's got this big complex and it's like trying to navigate like where are you, bro? Like uh I'm trying to find you, dude. I'm here with your food, man. Uh but no, he was like real consistent. And we sort of stayed in touch after that, like just on Instagram and whatever. And then he, fell off for a little while and I didn't really hear anything from him. Which is fine. People sort of tend to, you know, like he was talking about today, like he was on the Brento train and he was in the best shape of his life and, everything was great. And then he kind of like, fell off and did his own thing for a while. And, now he's looking to get back into it. So now he's starting to order and be consistent again. But how he found me initially, I don't even really know.
Wow.
Um,
And that's huge
yeah,
starting
like
out. Like you want to know why everybody's how people find you.
Yeah, and you know what? Like the fact that he's out now at Tukey, a lot of people are finding me now. Well, like our main sources of new customers come from Instagram, is the biggest one, word of mouth referrals, and then after that is actually just Google searches, and not even just like Meal Prep Phoenix or Brento Box. Like people go on maps, like their map on their phone,
Yep.
and they'll type in meal prep and my location pops up out there in Ahwatukee. And I've talked to and like I started to notice like we started to get a lot of business from people out there on the south side in Ahwatukee and in the foothills and in Chandler, like all around like where my kitchen is. And I was
Yep.
starting to wonder. And then, late last year I started to ask new people specifically, like, hey, like thank you so much for your order. My name's Brent. I'm the owner of the company. Like, we really appreciate it. Let me know if you need anything. And also, if you don't mind me asking, how'd you hear about us? Because I started to want to figure out where the new business was coming from so I can figure out what's working for us,
Yep.
and exploit those channels more. And a lot of people that I had asked that to that were out there now in Tukey were just like, yeah, we saw you on the map and, you're close to us. And which is funny because like our kitchen isn't even open to the public. Like it looked like like on the map it looks like we're right there. They can come on in and grab a meal, but it's not even like that. It's like
Yeah.
we make our pre-orders over the weekend. Like we put out the menu, we take orders, and then we make everything. So it's like, yeah, we're right there now at Tuki. Like our kitchen is right there. So we show up on a map right there, but like it's almost like a ghost kitchen. Like we don't really exist as far as like the public like can't come in and order from us.
Yep.
So anyway, I think that's how we've been getting some business out there now with Tuki. But as far as how I first connected with Nick, man, like I honestly don't even know. But like you said, he's good people for sure.
Very cool. Jake, you have anything else?
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything else tonight? He's usually the person who brings a guest on. This is a show that we created out of nothing that he had an idea for. I met him through our old co-host. I was out of the picture. I'm a producer. I've always liked to not be on camera, and things changed, and we went into a different direction, and so here we are now. But so Jake is usually the one who's leading the conversation and with the guests, and also how does it feel to sit in the back tonight?
It's cool. I mean, I would have jumped in a lot more, but
The baby.
I had to keep mute babies. It was because dude, because Ruth and Marley at separate times. I had to keep reaching over and muting the mic, and I was like, I have something to add, but
Very cool.
yeah.
Hey, so
I
wanted to ask both you guys, because this is called the Sober and Swole podcast. I wanted to ask both you guys about your journey with sobriety, and you don't have to get too deep into it if you don't want, but maybe just touch on how that journey's been for you, and just sort of get into that a little bit.
Okay, well, I am the sober guy.
Okay, you're sober, he's swole.
No, that's not
well,
it.
I mean,
again, this is his show. He's both sober and swole, and I'm helping. Yes.
So the premise is myself and my co-host were both at that time both in a period of inactive addiction, and I was like, he's one of my best friends for over a decade. We worked together at the same place, and I was his trainer. So I was like, dude, we should start a show just talking about how we live life out of the shit we used to do, and how we have traded addictions, basically, choosing health over being shit wrecks of humans. So that's how the show came about. He was like, I know a guy who does sound stuff. Hey, cool. But no, I started my first drink. I was probably like, I was thinking about, I had to have been 12 or 13. And because I knew where Dad kept his bottle of Jim Beam next to the bed. And I was like, I'm going to go try that. Like one of those things. And then I grew up in Central Illinois, and you just got drunk and ran in cornfields and fornicated. That was what you did, and I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school. I was in the infantry, and if you're not out there training and or deployed, what you're doing when you're off work is just being a drunk. And I did that for 4 years. I moved out to Tempe, failed out of college because I was too drunk and or on drugs all the time. My mommy had to drive down from Illinois to come save me. Moved back to Illinois, kept drinking. Got off the fancy white powders though. But and then I moved to South Texas to work oil. Oil went through a lull, had a couple other jobs, and I was getting ready to lose the house that I was renting. I had a suicide attempt. When I got out of jail, and they, here's the list of crimes we could charge you with, or we could just take this misdemeanor and pay your fine. And I said, thanks. And I went home, and I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like well over 300 pounds. And I'm 5'8" on my best days. And I went, what happened to you? You've been an athlete your whole life. You're an infantry marine. Now look at you. You're so fat you could be rolled down a hill standing up. Like so. I had a gym membership that I didn't use, but it was like one of the first things I signed up for when I first moved into town. And so I got back in the gym, and then that wasn't even what got me sober, but it was a step along the way. And then I had a dog that I had to put down. My buddy gave me a Not Your Father's root beer because I was sad. And I was like, this is disgusting. And that was the last alcoholic beverage I had. And that was on December 5th, over 7 years ago. So there's the basic rundown.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for your service. And second of all, I'm glad to hear you're sober now, and that's wild, man. 300. So how much do you weigh now? How much are you down from that 300?
See, I'm about
Uh-oh.
two. See, I'm
Yeah,
about
again, he has
230.
6 kids, and he has
Yeah,
since been domesticated. So
yeah. Well, I'm about 230, 240 now. But the lowest I got to, see, my first time on stage, I was 142.
oh,
142?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, damn. So like 160 pound loss right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then
Damn, bro. Good for you,
yeah,
man. Holy
and
shit.
I was just living. I lived the bodybuilder life for a long, long time. And what I do now is I'm more of just lift for sanity and try not to snort cheeseburgers.
You gotta have some vices, man. If it's
Well, I
not the
mean, like
booze, you gotta have a burger every now and then.
my Copenhagen is my vice for sure, but
Mm.
yeah, I wouldn't say I eat clean 100% of the time because I'm not here to lie. Uh,
Well, you're
but I
also
mean,
not a competitive bodybuilder anymore, so you know.
no, I am not. No, I am not. And but yeah, man. Like, so I mean, I coach still, because I love it. I mean, that was the first thing when I first got into training. I was like, this is it. This is what I'm gonna find a way to do this forever. And I mean, business isn't what it used to be because I need to focus on getting my family right now, and I am blessed enough to where my wife has a pretty cool job to where I don't have to be hustling all the time. Like I don't advertise, people come and go, and that's just fine. But I have a core group of people that I love, and it keeps the lights on, so they say.
That's cool, man. That's cool that you're able to do something that you love, and also, sounds like you've got the work-life balance down to where you've got time for your wife and you got time for your kids and you're able to do something you love, and you're healthy, so, kudos to you, man.
Not according to that goddamn BMI. I'm not getting into this.
Oh,
I'm not doing it.
oh no.
Nope.
So I don't have per se an issue in terms of addiction. I mean, like you said, everybody has their vices. My experience more comes from my proximity to it. Family members, aunts and uncles, my cousins on my dad's side stayed with us for a while because my aunt was on her shit. So in high school, I remember having my cousins live with us for a couple of years, and then I remember the devastation from my mom when she got clean enough to get the kids back, and they didn't want to. We formed a bond with them, and so we had to watch that. My older brother, I lost him at a young age, and I watched some of his friends just turn to the bottle or turn up, and then being a DJ for a long time, you see a lot of people who have problems, and so when I met Jake and I went through Paul, it was like there was that link that I understood, and being able to do this, it just felt like a perfect opportunity to give them a space to, at the very least, be grown men who have a space to talk and vent. And so that's what this really just started as. Not even really recording anything, just having it, and then putting GoPros together and being in the same spot and all this. And then we had one episode where it's one of my favorite clips that we ever did, to where it was like, our old co-host, he relapsed, and he and Jake were best friends, so Jake knew about it. I didn't find out until we started recording. And so he went on this whole thing, and like many addicts do, he turned himself into the victim. And at the end of his diatribe, he was like, "I love you guys." And Jake's like, "I love you." And I didn't say anything. And he's like, "I love you guys." And I go, "I heard you." it's like, and so I just laid into him. I was like, "Look, man, you cannot tell me this on the back end. If I'm someone who is supposed to be active in helping you through your addiction, I should know this in real time." And came to find out, he didn't tell me because he knew that I would give him the realness. And as a support system, I have to be a guardrail. I can't be a cone that he can knock over. I have to be something that he smashes into and teaches him a lesson, right? And so that moment really solidified the show in my eyes. And then it his our relationship soured, and he went his way, and I let him do that. And so I asked Jake, I said, "Hey man, it's up to you. I did this for you guys. It's now you. You let me know." And then we took the reins, and I put some more time and energy into it, and here we are now. So not doing it for the following, clearly, but it gives us a great opportunity to connect and have conversations that people our age, a generation prior, never had the opportunity to. So it feels like a great. We're in the generation, especially me. I just turned 40 a couple weeks ago. It feels like I'm on the back nine of my life, and we have all these tools at our disposal that, when I was half this age, were an afterthought, were fantasy. So it's like, if I can do this and have a positive effect on Jake, and that translates into the next person. And so, like Captain Sandy, have no business talking to her, but she is 29, 30 years sober. So she has her own experience. So it lets you connect with people that you would normally not have any other contact with, or that you wouldn't talk to because of their past. So,
Mm.
so that's my story.
Interesting. No, that's cool. And I think it's a good thing you guys are doing this, because like you don't know who might hear this and who it might help,
Yeah.
or someone hears it and maybe they are more okay with coming and talking about something that they've been holding in, because they listened to you guys and they heard you speak, and you never know what you might say might resonate with someone. So, I think it's a good thing you're doing. Just to touch on me personally, so I quit drinking about a year ago, and it wasn't really like I don't really consider myself. I mean, I guess I am sober, but it was more of just a personal choice for me. When I went through those couple rough years where I was depressed and I was drinking, it was pretty much daily I was drinking. So I think I did have a problem there for a while, but eventually I got to a more healthier relationship with alcohol, and it was just on the weekends and social, and two or three drinks here, two or three drinks there, and but about a year ago I just sort of came to a realization that it wasn't helping my life in any way. It wasn't doing anything positive for me, like I would. And I was starting to get, I'm only 33, but I feel like the hangovers were just like, I would have two or three drinks and it's like I'm not waking up early to get to the gym at 7 a.m. the next day, so, or I'm not being as productive as I could be the next day. And also, I feel like sometimes like in networking situations or even social situations where you're talking to people and you never know who might be your next customer, your next client, or, who might open a door for you. Like, if I'm a little sloshed and had three or four drinks, I might not present myself in a way that I would be proud of the next day.
Right.
So for me, and also, it was last year at this time where I was really doing a program that I was taking kind of seriously in terms of, my training and my macros and everything like that. And I'm like, well, I hit my protein, hit my carbs, hit my fats. Like my calories are on target. But, if I decide to have a couple drinks, or, whatever at night, like that's just calories that I don't need. So, it was just an accumulation of things that just sort of led me to realize that I don't need alcohol in my life. It wasn't doing me any favors. If anything, it was just hindering, what I could be doing. So, it was about a year ago I decided that I was just gonna give it up and not drink, and that was, it was kind of hard for me, because my whole life it's just been, social situations and holidays and friends over, basketball, whatever it is. It's like drinking has just become such a societal norm that when you stop, it's like, it's kind of uncomfortable at first, and you sort of have to readjust and, learn how to be in those situations and not drink and not feel awkward or weird about it. And, another reason I don't really, like, I guess I am like sober, but I don't like to, consider myself, because I didn't go through treatment or recovery or, and also, when I quit, like, it wasn't like, okay, I'm never, ever, ever going to drink again. Like in this year-long span where I gave up alcohol, I broke it twice. Once I was on vacation with my dad and he really wanted to have a margarita with me. So I said, fuck it, Dad, let's have a margarita.
Yeah.
And funny story is we were in Austin, Texas, and I actually had 1.5 margaritas, and I got fucking drunk off 1.5 margaritas. And he had an early morning bike ride planned, like to go around the lake and this whole thing.
Oh.
And like, I didn't want to tell him, but I felt like shit. I was hungover from that 1.5 margaritas, which just reminded me, like, this is why I don't do this, And then the other time I broke since then was on my 1-year wedding anniversary. My wife was like, well, I don't want to drink alone on my anniversary. So I'm like, you know what? I'll have a drink with you. Like, it's our anniversary. And I think, so I think for me, it's just not something that I need in my life, but that's not to say, there's not going to be times where I make exceptions, I guess. So I guess that's a little different than, someone that puts down the bottle and says never again. They know if they have one more drink, they're just going to go down a slippery slope. For me, it's more of just like a lifestyle choice. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that with you guys since this is the Sober and Swole podcast.
Absolutely.
Like I'm kind of sober and I'm kind of swole.
I'm on the same boat, so
I just look at my wife like this. Is it good?
Well, Brent, we are approaching an hour and 15 minutes, sir, and this can go as long as we let it go. But we like to make sure that our guests come in and use their time wisely, so we don't want to keep you too long. Where can the people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Brento Box. I'm pretty active on there. Also, I think if anyone wants to go follow the Instagram, I think I like to, I kind of keep it entertaining for people. I'm on there quite a bit, and I feel like people are really enjoying not only just following to see, the food photos, but also following me as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, as the journey. I think a lot of people really, can relate to a lot of the stuff I'm talking about and I'm posting, and I'm kind of real and honest and open and transparent. So Instagram is where you can find me. Also, if you're in the Phoenix area and you're interested in checking out the meals, getbrentobox.com.
Fantastic. I've got some bodybuilders I'm reaching out to tomorrow to see what their meal prep situation is. Jake, I know that you know people as well.
I don't know anybody. I don't know nothing.
So whether you join BNI Prosperity or not, just know that I appreciate your time. I'm thrilled to have met you today, and I again appreciate you making the time for us tonight and telling your story. So, Brent,
for sure, man, it was my pleasure. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely, Jake. Anything you want to add?
No, I love you guys.
All right, boss. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I'll do the outro tonight. Thank you so much for listening to or watching the Sober Swirl podcast. I go by DJ Swirl. No sound effect. Go for it.
Oh, and I was waiting. Yeah. And I am Jake Howard.
Rick was ready. All right, but see you next week, guys.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it to slay. If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition.